You are not owed happiness. You could do all the right things. You could take care of those around you, excel your career, find the love of your life, do tons of self-care for your mind, for your body, and have nothing but love and good intentions for those around you and still find yourself unhappy. Without this idea that if you do good and you be good, then you'll feel good. And if you don't feel good, it's because you're not doing good enough. And some people feel that, you know what, I'm just gonna do what feels good, and then they realize that, surprise, surprise, hedonism will only get you so far before you find yourself right back where you started, and oftentimes much worse. So how do we find consistent happiness? Is it just all a scam? Are some people just born with the happy gene and the rest of us are just doomed to grasp at fleeting moments of feel-good chemicals? That's what I'll be talking about in today's video. So if you unfortunately resonate with what I just said, then keep on watching. Let's start off by defining what happiness is in the first place. In this video, I'm not talking about the kind of highs that you get when you're falling in love, when you get a new job, when you buy a house, when you get kids. No, those are exceptional highs that can only exist because of how rare they are. If you're falling in love every single day and getting promoted every single day, then that just becomes your baseline, and then that you don't get that kind of high anymore. For this video, the kind of happiness I'm talking about is the feeling of being genuinely content with yourself and your life. That you know that no matter what happens or what takes place in life, you feel that you always come out having grown in some small way and having appreciated and lived life. A cute little analogy would be if you've watched the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, where there's this concept, there's an infinite number of universes. And there's several where you're one of the best versions of yourself, and there's several where you're one of the worst versions of yourself. And depending on the decisions you make, you influence which universe you go to. So in this context, what we mean by happiness is that feeling that you have in yourself, that no matter what happens to you, what happens in life, you have this self-trust that by the end of the week, you will somehow have managed to put yourself in a better universe. Your thoughts, your ideas, your actions, your mistakes even. You feel like you have lived your life. But what is a better universe? Is it a universe where you're making more money, where you have more friends, where you have a relationship? What are the metrics of a better universe? What are the metrics, the goal of a happy life? But I feel like the question itself reveals why most of us can't seem to figure it out. We think that if we achieve something, we deserve happiness. But I'd like to offer an alternative perspective, and that is you are not owed happiness. Life has no obligations to make you feel good just because you achieved a bunch of things that you said would make you happy. Your brain is just there to keep you alive and away from danger for the most part. And that's why it's so comically easy to develop anxiety, and yet it's so hard to find people who are genuinely happy. And so let me share with you what I think happiness is. Happiness is a skill that you've got to work on, and that skill is the ability to find fulfillment in the processes that you create in life, not the outcomes. Happiness is found in processes, not in outcomes. Outcomes only give you those momentary, temporary highs that eventually go back to baseline, and the rest of the time you're just not feeling good. You're just anticipating the next outcome. Focusing on outcomes means you stay in unhealthy relationships longer, or toxic work environments, or you be crushed when things don't go your way. You don't take life for what it is, and you just need it to be a specific, perfect way. Basing your happiness off of outcomes is a perfect recipe to feeling unfulfilled and being completely out of touch with yourself and life as a whole. And it's not our fault that we think that focusing on outcomes is what's going to give us happiness, because that's what feels good, right? The outcomes feel good. When we get a job, when we fall in love, when all of these good things in life happen to us, we're like, that's what's going to make me happy. But that's not the only part of life. That's just the end result. Oftentimes, outcomes that we think we want aren't even the things we actually want, because we're just fed ideas of who we should be or what we should want, lifestyle, profession, income level, whatever it is. And we're fed all of that into our head to think that's what we want. And then when people reach it, they're like, you know what, I actually don't even care for this. This doesn't make me feel good. This is not who I am. When you focus on process instead of outcome, you aren't susceptible to that, where you realize, oh my goodness, I'm so surprised by this outcome. This is not what I wanted the whole time. Because focusing on process means you're constantly checking in with yourself to see, how do I feel about this? Now, what does focusing on process even mean, Asha? Give me some context. Well, the last couple of years have been the hardest of my life. Out of nowhere, my mom fell seriously ill with the mental illness that's quite severe. I had to see someone who I love very much go through something that I had never experienced before. And all the drama and the whirlwind that came with that was just absolutely devastating. And I never know when things are going to go bad again and when we're going to have to go back to the hospital, and I have to do months of just not eating right, not sleeping right, and worrying. In those years as well, I lost my father to a heart attack, and it was right around the time where I feel like our relationship was also starting to grow stronger. And in this process of my world turning upside down, I realized that I had to create very intentional processes in order to take good care of my mother. I had to pay attention to her emotions, to my emotions, had to understand everything about the illness so that I could take care of her as best as I could and make her feel comfortable, but also take care of my own mental health, because as a caregiver, it was getting very difficult because I was always worried, I was always on edge, and all my focus became on her. What I hadn't realized is that act of being extremely intentional on understanding my feelings, my mom's feelings, understanding the whole situation, and creating a process on how to think about it and how to react to certain things and how to be, started bleeding into other aspects of my life. So for example, with my friendships, I started thinking about our friendship as an entity. I started thinking about them, about myself, about how to nurture this relationship. And I can go online and see what people are doing to, create fun little cute things with your friends. I was having a lot of excitement in the idea of thinking about my friendship and how to nurture it. And it was the same thing for every other aspects of my life. I felt genuine excitement in thinking about those aspects and how to nurture, how to grow all the positives in my life and how to take care of the people in my life. When you have this perspective of focusing on processes, you, number one, end up being very in touch with your emotions because you're constantly checking to see how you feel and how you think. Are these emotions valid? Am I just having a reaction, or is this something I really think? Number two is you start paying attention to the people around you even more so, because now you want to understand, how do I be more intentional with the way I do things? And then number three, in order to create amazing processes, you have to know many different things. You have to understand different perspectives, see what people have done. And that's why I love this day and age of TikTok, of YouTube, of all of this, because you can go online and learn so many things about people from all around the world having different experiences and how they feel about it. When you understand that, wow, that's like a whole world of different beliefs, different cultures, different contexts on how people react to different things, you are better informed to creating your own unique process on how you deal with the situations in your life. When you focus on process, you're also open to taking life and how people work as they are, even yourself as you are. You're a lot more understanding and more forgiving to yourself because you're not trying to fit you and the people around you and the world to fit into this ideal of how things are supposed to work. You take it for what it is. For example, when I make mistakes, when I overreact, when I procrastinate, I don't go thinking, oh man, I really wasted my day. I think, okay, so I don't feel good that I wasted my day. We know this, but why did I do that? What's there? I'm curious about why that led me to behave the way I did. I'm focusing on the process. For example, let's say the house is messy. I'm not going to think, man, I am a messy individual. That's not a point of shame for me. I start thinking, okay, what kind of routines can I put in place? It's not that I'm messy. It's just that I don't have a place for things. So I need to find a system and create a habit of putting things where they should be. And if it gets messy again, it's because I just don't have the right place for things. I need a better system. When you focus on process, you don't find yourself suddenly in a toxic workplace. As the sign of you feeling discomfort or something going wrong, you're having an understanding, okay, what's going on here? Because most people, most of us, we live reactively. We just react through life. And then we realize, where has it all gone? Why am I not feeling good? Because we're reacting to everything. We're not actually creating processes and focusing on them. And the more you do this, you're intentional with how you think and how you handle your emotions, you will start feeling so content with improving your processes for life. There is no end goal. There's always improvement, reacting better, thinking better, being better. And that actually feels wonderful. And as you're creating your processes in life, you're going to realize that because of how much attention you are paying to yourself and the world around you, you are going to develop gratitude. Because you know how people always say, practice gratitude about what you have in your life and then you will feel good. I always thought that was just so incorrect. When people feel awful about their lives, they feel stuck, they feel just icky, like they don't feel like they're going anywhere, their life feels meaningless. They kind of sit down and be like, you know what, at least I've got this. And sure, they might have wonderful things, but that's not going to make them feel good, because what's happening is when you are unhappy, it's usually because you are stuck in a cycle where you have no process and you keep repeating and reacting. You're stuck somewhere. And when you focus on process, that just doesn't happen that way, because you are constantly checking in with yourself. So to recap the whole thing, happiness is not found in outcomes. It's found in your ability to find deep contentness in the processes that you create in life, in how you think about things, in how you observe other people, in getting a wonderfully diverse worldview and perspective on multitude of topics and situations, so that you can form a process on how to deal with things in a unique way that caters to who you are. And doing so allows you to feel happy even when you're stressed, even when you're sad, even when things don't go the right way. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's been very long, but you know what? I think the topic itself warrants this whole thing. And I hope that the learnings that I've had from my life, you can take away from it and adapt it to your life as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's been such a long time since I posted, but I am excited to start posting again, and I will see you guys in the next video.